Spoilers, oh spoilers, oh spoilers. What's up guys, I'm Alfonso here, and here we are to do a breakdown and discussion of the chapter 246 spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen, which is most likely known as, I don't actually see number 18 here anywhere on this page, which is interesting, but I've had to tell you guys, it is most likely the battle in the uninhabited demon-infested Shinjuku part 18. Unless Gege actually decides to just blow my mind and shatter my ankles to pieces. I'm assuming that's the chapter title. But, as many a time before, the chapter title of Jujutsu Kaisen is irrelevant. What matters is the contents of the chapter itself. So let us not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. What's up guys? That guy with a pencil here. And fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact, okay, you need to stop. It's hurting me at this. You're teasing me. You're tickling my toes at this point, Gege. We've gotten updates on everybody else, all right? We know where Ino is. We know where Kusakabe is. We know where Higuruma is. Itadori. Where is she, Gege? Stop teasing me. You malicious monster. I don't care about anything. Where is Okay, but enough joking about Maki. We have quite a hefty chunk to talk about, so let's actually hop into the chapter itself. So, at least from my understanding, once again, I have very loose translations, luckily enough, not the craziest of translations, that's what the live reaction and the actual chapter review are for, but we open up and we continue right where we left off at the end of 245. I was actually a little bit worried that we were going to immediately cut away again. It felt like Gege was kind of building up to a flip like that, but no, we're actually staying exactly where we are, which is very, very interesting. And we see that Higuruma is in fact getting sliced up by the presumably dismantles, but these may be cleaves. The only reason I'm assuming it's dismantle and not cleave is because they don't absolutely tear Higuruma apart, like fundamentally. Like if they were cleaves, they would like probably tear through Higuruma instantaneously. I'm assuming we know Sukuna's willing to use dismantle on people. He just typically uses it for inanimate objects and domain. So I'm assuming these are dismantles, but I'm not sure if that's actually clarified in the chapter or not. Regardless, it's Sukuna's technique, and he does tear directly into Higuruma. And I don't know why it's just hitting me. Why did he show up to fight in a suit? Why did he do that? I mean, like, in my most mobile of, like, I've worn many different suits throughout my life, whether it be for weddings, for plays, for different events, or stuff like that. But, like, why of all the things, why would you wear a suit to I mean, I guess it's for the fit, it's for the clout, all right? Like, you can't let people know that lawyer degree is not for nothing. So I guess he had to pull up looking all fresh and spiffy, but the spiffiness probably cost him a bit of mobility. However, just as I predicted at the end of last chapter, the pose that Kusakabe did take, he did end up using Symbol Domain. Now, Sukuna does seem actually a little bit surprised here at Kusakabe's feat, but I'm still going to assume that Sukuna, one, wasn't actually trying to execute Itadori. Well, I said Itadori, but he's not. He's behind Sukuna right now, or actually, I believe to his right. But I'm assuming Sukuna wasn't actually trying to execute Higuruma here. So, once again, I'm sorry for all my Kusakabe glazers out here. I mean, you can take this out of context, like, just show Kusakabe being able to react to Sukuna's invisible, imperceptible slashes, and I'm not saying block them, but, like, soften them quite a decent bit with Symbol Domain. Like, you could slop off Kusakabe if you really want to. Like, I know there's some Kusakabe creamers in the comment section. I've seen them before, but, like, I don't know. It is still very impressive, though, right? Like, you gotta realize, if these slashes were at one finger level of potency, they tear through most grade ones we've ever seen. Remember, a finger bearer is like a special grade curse, and Sukuna individually is much stronger than a finger bearer. And like, even at its lowest end, assuming that Sukuna lowered his output all the way down to like one finger level, Kusakabe being able to, like, what's the hand, like, he does, like, throwing up that hand sign and casting Symbol Domain in time, very, very impressive. Especially considering, remember, it was stated at the end of the last chapter that it was only Higuruma and Sukuna who knew that something was amiss with the situation. Everyone had already teleported in, everyone started doing their work. But in terms of, like, actually realizing that, it was Kamutoke that was taken, not Shrine. We're still in danger of Shrine. It is still a very impressive reaction feat for Kusakabe to activate Civil Domain quickly enough in order to defend himself and by proxy Higuruma, kind of acting as an indirect sponge, though of course the sponginess wasn't perfect, as Higuruma still does get quite a decent amount of slashes on him. But with that being the case, I'll admit, Kusakabe, he's just a weird guy. Like, he's weird in a similar sense to how Uraume is weird. It just has some really, like, for their status, either in the narrative or, like, literally as a sorcerer, for a regular grade 1 with no curse technique, just, like, very high-level symbol domain mastery, it's actually kind of insane, his weird feats. Like, he managed to either block or redirect or blitz a Maximum Uzumaki. Now he's out here reacting and activating Symbol Domain in time with Sukuna's slashes. Like, sure. Obviously, neither of the two were going all out in these scenarios, but the fact that they're able to react at all is a testament to Kusakabe's ability overall as a sorcerer. You know, for a guy who doesn't like to fight, he's pretty darn good at it, but stay hydrated, folks. But the main thing we see here is that Sukuna does seem to, at least once again, I have no idea what these things say. I cannot read. Quite literally and figuratively in this case. But with this being the case, Sukuna does seem to have full spatial awareness of the scenario going on around here. He's essentially, I think from the loose translations I have, he's reading the battlefield and using his extra eyes to analyze everyone that's around him. Notably, there are some people missing here, like some people missing outright. And obviously, Maki's one of, I think literally all the girls are missing. I think literally all the girls. Because Akari's fighting Uraume, Yuta went up against Kenjaku and decapitated him. Kashimo's cooked. And, well, Gojo's cooked too. But Itadori, Choso, Ino are all here, along with Kusakabe and Higuruma. But notably Momo, Miwa, Maki, and that way. I still wish he could turn into like a protein pack for somebody, bro. But yeah, Panda's not here. And once again, I do get why they didn't show up. Because like, what was Miwa doing? What was what was Miwa doing? I already forgot her name. Momo doing? Like what were they character? What were those characters in particular doing? The only one who once again just has no excuse, and I know y'all are getting sick and tired of me complaining about it, whining about it, and y'all did bring up a fantastic point in the comments of the video where I talked about Maki being missing. That is true. She is literally meant to be a reincarnation of Toji, who was an assassin, so thusly it makes sense that she hides until the very last play. But bro, the fact that the Maki fraud watch memes could be infinitely more valid than the Yuta fraud memes ever were hurts me to my legitimate core. It stabs me so straight in the belly, dog. Like, come on, Gay, please stop hurting me. However, Sukuna is reading the entire battlefield, which once again, it does imply, at least to me, that Sukuna does feel an element of concern. He's not entirely like, whatever, these things, these insects, they can't cross me. No, he actually is taking time to like analyze the battlefield situation. He's like, okay, Kusakabe and Higuruma are in front of me, Ino's to my back left, Choso's to my back right, and the boy, that brat, is to my back right. So like he's taking time to fully analyze the situation, which is interesting. Realistically, at his current level of power, other than Itadori, who managed to make him jiggle a little bit, Sukuna shouldn't have to fear anything from anyone except Higuruma because of the Executioner's Blade. That's the only thing that Sukuna really needs to fear. So the fact that he's acknowledging them is a testament to his own respect for their determination to fight him in their own way, which is evidently very admirable. I wouldn't say it's smart, but it's admirable. Well, actually, I guess I would say it's smart, because like Sukuna would fight them eventually. He always does. But with that being the case, you see that Kusakabe realizes that, oh, shoot. Yeah. You've got to be kidding me, dog. There's absolutely no way the plan instantaneously failed before we could even let it pop off. Whatever. Okay, Higuruma, focus on well, once again, I'm taking loose interpretations of the images here. I'm not exactly sure what's being said, but it appears like Higuruma is still the main crux of the plan. Even though it was just Kabutoki that got taken away, and Shrine is still a fully viable asset to Sukune, it seems like Kusakabe's like, broski, I'll be real, even with the plan not going exactly how he expected, you are still our last hope. Like, we got nothing. The MC ain't even MCing no more. We need you to come save us, so I will sacrifice my very life to keep you around. And man, bro, Kusakabe, a guy who didn't want to be there, a father who didn't want to be there. He's the dad who stepped up, and that's great. I don't know, something about Kusakabe here. It's just so metal seeing him basically just resign himself. He's like, hey, yo, I know there is a 99.9% chance that I get cooked. But if I'm getting cooked, I'm just going to be the appetizer to the main courses. Ryoma Sukuna, dog. Go ahead. Use me as you need to. That's always one of my favorite moments in general in fiction. Or like, I mean, I've seen it once or twice in life, but mainly in fiction, where one character just entirely just lays it down. Their life, their worth, their everything, all on one thing, one final gamble. And they're like, it'd be like that when it be like that, especially when it be like that. But if it don't be like that, you boys cooked, and I'm okay with that. And I love it from a character like Kusakabe, one who's been notoriously cowardly and hasn't ever wanted to be there, being so brave and what could be his final moments. Beautiful. However, with that being the case, we see that Higuruma does in fact explain that, yeah, Kusakabe's assumption is correct. Kabutoki was taken away. And ultimately, Kusakabe realized that, yeah, okay, so regardless, I'm still going to have to protect you, because regardless, you're still our only hope. And then Sukuna does seem to mock the efforts of the group here. Once again, I'm not sure what he says, and even the rough translations don't seem to have any sort of idea what he's saying here, but I'm assuming it's something mocking. It's like, because Sukuna he's in such a favorable position now, right? Like, notably, the only thing that could be a threat to him is something he brought into his own world. Like, there's nothing else. They're really, as far as he knows, based on all the data he has on these fighters, and once again, his thousands of years of battle experience, he just knows that ultimately there is no danger. The only danger he has is one that's very, very controlled and limited that he can work with. And ultimately, that's all he needs to worry about. Once again, Kusakabe is not a threat. Ino's not a threat. Choso's not a threat. And let me tell you, dog. We are this close to having character development, y'all. Because we see Choso. He's like, I know this didn't work against Kenjaku, someone who's infinitely weaker than you, considering he's a base Yuta victim, but he slams the hands together and he's like, you stole my technique. You used Minifant, the superior variation of it. I can't let this slide. And he immediately goes to launch off a piercing blood. Though, once again, what did he think was going to happen? What was the thought process? What was going through his dome piece in that moment to think it was actually a good idea? Like, I'm not sure how to put, like, imagine you, I don't know, you had a 50-50 mix-up. It wasn't airtight, but let's say you were playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, any sort of fighting game that allows you to do 50-50s. Imagine you had this nearly airtight 50-50 mix-up. And, yeah, homie, whoever you play the game with always blocks it. Like 9 out of 10 times, no matter what, they will never fall for the mix-up. They will not get hit. You'll have to put them in another block screen. You'll have to try the mix-up again, or you're just going to give up your turn and they're going to immediately start comboing you back. Me, whenever I play base Vegeta. But with that being the case, imagine that. And then you level up and you're not just fighting your homeboy anymore. You're fighting like Koichi or Sonic Fox or any sort of superior player of any insane caliber that already has infinitely better defense than your opponent. Do you really think you're tagging him? Especially from that distance too. Like, and here's the thing, right? I know a lot of people are going to justify a lot of the moments in this chapter as like, well, sorcerer growth is non-linear. They had a whole month and a whole bunch of negativity to focus their training and growth on. And I do see that, but dog, I don't know, broski. I still think Choso sending out a PB here after seeing how effective PB was against Kenny, aka not at all, unless used from like point blank range. That was the only time it was genuinely effective. I don't know what he expected here, and it seems like Sukuna is like, oh, so you want to cover me in your juices? I'm sorry, only Urume can do that, and proceeds like. I'm not exactly sure how much better Gege could portray Sukuna's speed than him being in one panel, disappearing instantaneously, and reappearing through Choso. I was going to say alongside Choso. I was going to say beside Choso. I was going to say a whole bunch of different... No. Ryomen Sukuna literally puts two of his hands through Choso. Dog. Like, this is crazy. Like notably, the way he does it too is so casual as well. He looks so bored. And once again, it fits because, you know, Choso's not the most interesting of fighters for him. He's probably run into a BM or two, and I ain't talking about baby mamas. But with that being the case, man, just the sheer look of indifference, he's like, ugh. Can't believe I have to do this mess again. Fine. You know what? And he just drives both of them through him. Notably, I don't think this is exactly a Choso pack. Choso is much more durable and almost flexible than the average human being due to being a cursed human hybrid. So I think he is mostly fine. He'll only need like some time to recover or heal or something like that, versus like permanently being taken out of the narrative by this double hand pierce. I mean, it would make sense, but another reason I think it's just not Choso's end is because it'd be too abrupt. Like, we see Itadori's reaction. He presumably calls out Choso because obviously he's seeing his big brother being, you know, handed. Can I even say that on the chat? We aren't even going to worry about it. But essentially, Sukuna heard that Choso had chicken nuggets in his belly. And he was like, oh, chicken nuggets! And then the spray tore into Choso's belly. And we see that Itadori cries out in agony, in shock, in despair. And he literally, like, once again, just so nonchalant, he just yanks his hands out and just, like, he doesn't even, like, wipe them. He's just done. And it's so crazy to see that a certain someone has made a return, if only indirectly. Nanami Kento's ratio technique has reappeared in the narrative with his blunt blade. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. You mean, wait. Ino, you mean to tell me that you, my friend, my pal, my brother from another mother, you mean to tell me that you are able to incarnate anybody? Or at least presumably, like, once again, I'll see more once translations are out, and even more once official translations are out. But, like, this is just the ratio technique. Like, it's the same blade, which he forgot to add design details to, and it's the floor. Like, that's correct. Like, who can he bring back then? Is it just Nanami because of his deep connection to Nanami, and it's kind of just like Gege paying homage and wrapping up this character arc by giving them Nanami's ability and Nanami's blade? Is it just an ability that he has access to? Imagine if they just made another Gojo. Though admittedly, I feel like that's highly unlikely, but still, like, the fact that Ino has the ratio technique now opens the door for pretty much infinite possibilities on what other options characters could have, which is very, very interesting. Or at least when I say other characters, I mainly mean Ino. Like, notably, without Yuta being here already, another multi-technique user would actually be very, very useful. So if Ino can just start, like, I don't want to say rezzing the unimmortal, but, like, I think they do kind of need a miracle, if I had to take a guess. Mainly just because, like, notably, with Ino seemingly getting the drop on Sukuna right after he ripped his hands out of Choso. He takes the dull blade, swings down as hard as possible on the ratio point, does all that, and Sukuna's like, with one arm. One. Yo, he did it with one arm. Like, this is it. That's the peak of Ino's striking force if he just has ratio technique, and Sukuna just said no. He apparently, like, mentions it's stronger than he expected, but, like, nothing of any danger to him. And we see that ultimately Ino does not last long as he's immediately punted away. Like, just flat foot straight to the blade, which is fun because, like, for some reason he spreads his toes out when he does it. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just how Gege draws feet and I just never noticed, but, like, his toes are like, they aren't like usually like this. He like spreads them out a bit, which looks super funny. But he kicks Ino, who does manage to block with the blade. So once again, I'm assuming this is an omega insanely suppressed Sukuna once again, unless we get a statement that he was going all out in some sort of later data book, or he mentions it himself in terms of like this battle in particular. Then I wouldn't be shocked if we just never get to see how these guys properly scale to him. Considering I think that one kick should get Ino up out of here if it was anywhere near full power. But with that being the case, we see certain individuals running up and rolling up on Sukuna, who is currently doing a little dancey dance, because obviously the music got him feeling some type of way. And we see an unexpected tag team of Higuruma and Itadori lunging in. Itadori goes in for a punch, and Kusakabe goes in for a blade swing. Notably, this is both interesting. Actually, no. I think now I look at it harder, Itadori isn't actually going in for a punch. He's going in solely for defense. And notably, it is interesting to see. But then again, he doesn't use cleave. That's the thing about Yuji using cleave dismantle. If that output thing is directly correlated to... See, that's a weird one. We would have to see how strong Sukuna's slashes are and how much of a nerf Link would get if he were to encounter any of them, considering they cause like extreme damage. So I'm genuinely wondering here, in this scenario, like, how much is Yuji's durability going to kick in when it comes to dealing with Sukuna and his technique, right? Because, like, a big thing that a lot of people have been pushing for Yuji as of recent, especially after it got confirmed that he was soaked in Sukuna's cursed energy and he's basically a Sukuna finger that can, like, walk, talk, and breathe. I wonder how much innate durability does he now have? How much resistance does he now have to the cursed technique of Sukuna? At least the basic variation of it. Personally, I believe Spatial Slash doesn't necessarily care what your cursed energy trait is. Even if it was Sukuna himself, if he were to somehow fire a Spatial Slash in his own direction or at himself, he would most likely immediately perish, because it doesn't matter what his chakra nature is. It just matters that he exists in chakra nature. It doesn't matter what his Jujutsu Kaisen cursed energy nature is. It's just, you know, do you exist in space? If the answer is yes, be deleted. I presume it's something like that. And with that being the case, we don't see, at least not in this chapter, we don't see Itadori get hit by it. I wonder if this is Sukuna specifically holding out, or once again, just Sukuna continuing the never-ending Yuji disrespect train. And we see that ultimately the block and the swing of the blade were all a distraction, as Higuruma leaps over Kusakabe's back in one of the most metal panels in the series, only for Sukuna to just be like, and get a little haircut instead of actually dealing with the blade itself. And then we see him proceed to just grab, like, manhandle Higuruma. He just straight, he like picks him up like a sack of grapes with his arms, and is like, intriguing. But notably, we see that due to the nature of this grab, like, Higuruma, he's kind of out for the count, because Sukuna doesn't just grab him, he like slobber knocks him a bit. And we see this kind of makes the Executioner's blade in Higuruma's hands go dull, barely more than a flickering light. But of course, considering the nature of this engagement, Sukuna is not allowed to hold Higuruma to himself or even manipulate him in any way, shape, and or form, because usually Itadori comes and presses him. But with that being the case, we see that Sukuna's like, oh, fine, you want to come keep fighting? He throws Higuruma at, through, and past Yuji. And then when Yuji goes to retaliate, Sukuna just starts huffing it, which is crazy. It's always funny seeing like characters of his stature and size run. I don't know why. It always tickles my fancy. Just because like it just looks so, I don't want to say unnatural, but kind of unnatural. Seeing Sukuna just do a dash and make it go fast. He doesn't care about the fame. All he wants is them bands. Like it's just so funny to me. And we see Itadori immediately being like, I've got to lock in. And he immediately locks in and starts booking it after Sukuna. And then we get a very interesting comparison here. Yuji, even after all his training, after all his evolution, even with whatever his new arm abilities are, doesn't matter. None. Sukuna just outpaces him. Sukuna just has better stats, which is something that is, once again, it goes down to the idea. Do you think that the base physical body matters when it comes to curse energy reinforcement and if characters are faster? Because if you don't, if you think it doesn't matter, then this feels weird, because Yuji should be able to keep up at least a bit, but Sukuna completely outpaces him on the dash. But if you don't think that, then this makes perfect sense. Yuji, who's relative to the physicals of a Megami body Sukuna, pre-training, even post-training, would struggle to compete with a plot, I don't want to say plot, but like a Heian era body Sukuna in terms of overall stats. So that's how it makes sense in my head that Sukuna is able to sprint so far away, but then again, maybe it's just the Itadori Glazer in me. And we see that Higuruma is given basically no chance to breathe, right? Because Sukuna's like, hey, bro, I may have just thrown you through a couple buildings, dog, but I need you to run up that blade real quick. And we see a little flashback to the past. And they're talking, and they're talking, and they're talking, and I got nothing. And they're talking, and they're talking. And they're talking ultimately about Higuruma's responsibility and duty and all this. Itadori specifically asks Higuruma, dude, do you really want to stay here? Is this really the wisest idea? You could just leave. And we see Higuruma be like, I could, but nah, I don't feel like that for real. Then we see Sukuna look on and lock in as he realizes that Higuruma is a generational talent, one who will stand unrivaled one day as the peak of power. He's not going to stand one day. Sukuna's definitely going to cut him down next chapter. Though overall, a W chapter. This chapter is one that's going to benefit a lot from translations and like me being able to understand more of what's happening, because I want more, like, for things I want more elaboration on, because once again I've kind of just been giving an overview and what I think of things here and there, explaining some of my rationalizations of what I can get from the images. But like Kusakabe's simple domain, how much did that work? How much surprise is Sukuna genuinely feeling, or how much is he generally acknowledging the threat? For the Choso stuff, how close to a pack is Choso? How close is the character development? Is it right along the horizon? Is it peeking over? Is it already here? I don't know. I can't tell due to the nature of the paneling and stuff like that. For Ino, is it just the ratio technique, or does he have more techniques in his bag? I don't know. There's things that could get interesting with that. With, heck, realistically looking at it, Itadori Yuji himself, him being so much slower, I wonder what that has to do with anything. If it's just like a body thing, if it's just their like legit Megami. Like, I'm trying to think how to explain this. Like, Itadori, what is it that's keeping him from reaching that level, and what is it that's going to make him reach that level if he's going to be the one to defeat Kenjaku? I don't know, because right now he just looks like he's playing defense duty and trying to be something of a prosecutor, but he can't, because he's not that guy like Higuruma is. And speaking of that guy, Higuruma surviving all this is very, very impressive, though I do assume that it's not really going to matter, at least not in the long run. However, that is all what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Once again, please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure that little notification bell so you know I'm sound on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and psych! If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave the judge's conviction in the comment section down below. At least thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Connor Plays, Redwell 4765, and Greyhound. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, Demix LND, and Igneal. I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchio, Joaquin, Idem Okami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a thicker than a snicker thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another thicker than a frozen jar of peanut butter thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.